Hey y'all, this is A.L. Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. So the episode started out with Letitia going to therapy by herself. She went to go and see Dr. Francis, and this was, of course, a continuation of last time. But he wanted to know, like, why is it that you feel like you need to be protective of your husband? And how is it that you know for a fact that your husband ain't out here fighting and bopping and got a baby and all this other stuff? Pretty much like, okay, you really going hard in the paint, but how do you know? So she gonna say she got receipts, and she goes directly to the source and asks them, and they tell her, no, these are things that didn't happen. And I'm just like, ma'am, you do know that just because your husband said he ain't out here fighting and bopping, that don't mean that it actually is so. But go off though. She believes that those are receipts. I'm not understanding the correlation, but go off. Like I've been telling y'all since season 1, to me he seemed like the main one who was out here cheating. It's just that Martell got caught up. So yeah, she needed that therapy session. And, her way of showing love, affection, and all of that is completely different from the way that he shows it. And it's just, he does not put in the effort that he needs to in order to show his wife that he here for her. And she feels as though she does so much to prove herself to him. And, she shouldn't have to make it seem like, okay, I'm a mother and I need to lessen who I am as a person in order for my husband to be magnified and put up and on this pedestal and all this other stuff. So she was like, yeah, like when we first got together, he told me that he didn't want me to be independent anymore. And it got to a point where I was buying stuff for myself. But then, like, whenever I wanted something, I would just go get it for myself. So now, I guess she just waits for him to go get stuff or tell him to go get it. And this is what she wants. And I'm just like, okay, so your love language is gifts. Oh, okay. So anyway, but yeah, it's just a mess. And you can just tell that she be setting it off and going off and doing the absolute most when it's obvious that she's not happy. Like, she's not in a good place. How you done been with this man for 15 years and you seem like you are not in that great of a space, no matter how you want to try to portray to everybody else that is awesome. So anyway, Melody and Martell ended up meeting up with the kids. They had an assignment that they had to do because they are seeing the therapist that is helping them with co-parenting. And they made these cards, and the kids were pulling cards at random, and, Melody would read them off. And some of the questions that were asked are, the children were asking questions too. And off rip, I really do feel like this was an amazing exercise, and it was definitely needed. The kids were basically, after everything would be asked and whatever was spoken on, it was just, y'all, when I tell y'all Martell Jr., Martell Jr. is tied in his spirit. He is not here for this situation at all. He wants his parents to be back together. Like, he seems to be the most affected that you can actually just tell by looking at him and his reactions to everything. Like, they would talk about certain things and he just would cover his ears because he would not want to hear it. And Melody was trying to get him to understand that, I'm sure y'all have friends who have parents that are no longer together anymore and all this other stuff. And like, he really wants them to get back together. All the kids pretty much outside of the youngest was like, we want y'all to get back together. Do y'all think y'all can get back together later on in life? Like, and then one of them was like, I don't want y'all to get married to somebody else because I don't want to have a step parent. And one of them said, I don't like when people kiss me on my cheek. Oh, like, that is so cute. Oh my gosh. But yeah, they didn't want to have to, they're saying they know they're not going to like a step parent type of situation. And Melody was like, well, if that situation does happen where we remarry, you have to look at it as a bonus mom. Yeah, but they ain't really, the kids ain't trying to hear it. Like, Martell Jr. is like this the entire time, not trying to hear nothing they got going on. Like, You can tell the kids are really, really affected by this. Somebody was like, I have a question. Do y'all have a crush on anybody, a secret crush? And so Martell gonna say he has a secret crush on his kids. Child. Anyway, so Melody ended up having the kids go and play and all this other stuff. So they ended up talking. And so, let them go play so they could do what they was going to do. So they start talking and it was pretty decent. They were talking civil and I'm very glad about that because it's rough. She wanted to know, like, when is he planning on introducing their 4 children to the side baby at this point? The child that was made outside of their marriage. And she said that when that does happen, especially the introduction, she wants to be present because you never know how the kids are going to react. And so he was like, well, I don't know. And then he tried to bring up her situation, which was she ended up finding out and I guess, learning about her siblings that were outside of her dad had with someone else or other people when she was 18 years old. But it's like, that's a completely different situation. Like, they're young. Like, all of these kids are still really, really young. And this is a different day and age. Like, come on now. Don't nobody need to sit up here and do that. I always felt like that was a messed up situation anyway, where these people be out here thotting and bopping, had kids down the street. Now, then you're going to be looking crazy when they having sex with one another, not knowing that they can. Like, stuff like that always bothered me. I don't like stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyway, they doing it back and forth like they normally do. So, then we see Letitia talking to her husband. And wanted to know about what all was going on. He revealed that he met up with Martell and Chris and all this other stuff. She asked how he was doing, and he ain't doing that great. And they apparently have their own foundation. And one of the things that they're doing is a race, the Destiny Foundation, I guess, or whatever. So anyway, their actual foundation is something that helps people who are, gonna submit information in order to get, stuff filed and, for tax purposes or whatever. Their organization is supposed to be about small business owners. It supports small businesses in Huntsville, which I think is dope. That's awesome. But anyway, so she sent out invites, and the only people who've responded are Melody and I think Destiny. So it's weird. So anyway, he then finds out that she's been to counseling, and so she's like, okay, yeah, I've gone to solo counseling, trying to understand why. So he is looking at her like, okay. Like, it's a mess. He ended up telling her, of course, when it came to the situation where it seems as though she has, given up who she is for him. He tried to make it seem like, well, I don't know why you're looking at it like that. I don't think you should look at it like that, because part of that stuff that he is telling you is true, but part of it isn't, because you are you and you are these things. You are a mom. Why don't you look at it as you are a mom, you're a sister, you're all these things. So I'm like, child, the way he be trying to manipulate her mind, the way she allows her mind to be manipulated by him, I can't. So yeah. Then of course ended up asking, about the elephant in the room, and he is basically equating it to somebody saying something on social media, and what if somebody says this on social media? I mean, are we just supposed to believe it? Child, did you have sex with other people or not? Did you create children or not? Because she even said in her therapy session that he's the type of person that, well, she was in a confessional. But anyway, she said that he's the type of person that he will allow something to go on forever. She is the type of person that wants it to stop immediately and will just go on ahead and nip it in the bud off rip. Because don't nobody want this to go on forever. Child, ain't nobody got time. So anyway, it is what it is. So anyway, now we are seeing I done forgot what these people's last names are. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. But Tiffany and her husband, they are on a baseball field and they are celebrating their 1 year anniversary, and they are celebrating with old friends, the new friends, which of course are the people who are on this show, and friends, because last year when they got married, they couldn't really have a lot of people around and all that, but they're making it into a whole situation. So they're actually playing baseball and all of that. Look like they're having fun. So everybody started going off their separate ways, talking and all this other stuff. And despite them, trying to be happy about their wedding and everything that happened, of course, it would not be in typical love and marriage Huntsville fashion if a great event or a nice loving event turns sideways. So they're discussing how things are going with Melody and Martell, because he feels like everybody feeling sorry for him and he don't want everybody to feel sorry for him. And now he feels like this is his opportunity to let everybody know I'm the one who initiated the divorce. And so, of course, Melody like, what are you talking about? This is a lie. And it's funny because she did exactly what she asked production to do, which was to roll back that beautiful bean footage of like the first season or whatever season it was when divorce was brought up by him, because he trying to make it seem like he just was, ooh, I filed, but no, you were singing a different tune when it was really looking like divorce was going to happen. Because every time we looked up, 99% of the time when divorce was spoken, you were trying to hold on to Melody, despite you still out here thotting and bopping. So let's just stop the lies, because you really making it seem like, oh, I'm out here talking about divorce. But he was like, oh, well, she just wanted to be the first one to go and bring it to social media so that she could save face, because I'm the one who said I wanted a divorce. I don't believe that at all. But anyway, they went back and forth about the foolishness, because she's just like, nah, we're not going to sit up here and say this, because that's not what's going on. And it's like, you can't expect something from him when, especially change, when he wants to continue to do the same thing over and over again. So they started doing this as usual. As usual. I'm just like, child, this is a mess. And of course, Tiffany is trying to understand why are they discussing stuff like this, and they trying to give advice. They've been married for a year. I understand there are kids involved, but if they do not want to be respectful of one another, and you have to, first of all, you have to be willing. You have to be willing participants. So later on, Melody went off to the side, and so she basically was like, he triggers me. Like, he always says something to trigger me. And so Destiny had to tell her, like, you can't allow that. Like, that's allowing you to give somebody power over you. You have to say to yourself, okay, let me not let that trigger me. So she was like, okay, so should I get up and walk away or what? And so she was like, well, hopefully you can get to a place where you don't have to. So, I mean, initially she might need to start getting up and walking away, because it starts getting really, really terrible. So then, of course, the men went off and they were talking. And the usual is, we've told you, Martell, not to be Martelling out here, because this is what you do. Being typical Martell, he ain't gonna listen. And everything does not deserve a response. You don't have to respond to everything, but that's what he does. He seems so petty. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be on no men versus women thing because I'm a woman. I'm not trying to be team Melody or team Martell, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes, if we gonna say somebody being petty, like, he is like the pettiest of the both of them. She be having her moments where she'll throw shots, but he will come out of nowhere and, like, she might tap you, he'll come back with a bazooka and do the absolute most. It's just like, wow, you really had to go there with it? Oh, okay. So yeah, it was just a mess. But yeah, she was talking about the triggers. I already said that. So then later on, we hear about the invites again. And so Kimmy was like, well, yeah, I didn't want to be a part of that. And I never responded because in the past, that's not been the way that we've done business. I always support you. Myself and my husband always support you. And I didn't want to be a part of the group chat. So she was just like, I don't understand the problem. Letitia was really confused. And like, I kind of was confused too. It's like, I get it. But at the same time, like, you know that y'all ain't been on the best terms. So she was like, well, you normally call me. Well, Letitia be having these moments where she gets balls. And she was like, well, normally I'm the only one reaching out. Like, I just had to get to a point where I was just like, look, she ain't reaching back out to me. Like, why should I be the one always reaching out? That's not fair. And that's true. I do agree with her on that. But she was like, girl, that's been the situation since we've been knowing each other. Like, you knew what it was. You know I'm not on the phone like that. You know I'm not into talking on the phone. You already knew that. And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, she still has a point. Like, she is the one who, like, initiates reaching out more than you. If not, she's the only one who really reaches out like that. So, yeah. I just got a message, y'all. I swear. People stay sending me crazy stuff. So yeah, but yeah, they went back and forth, and she was just like, yeah, I didn't appreciate that at all. And like the way she said it, she just seemed like, how dare you lump me in with the peasants, almost. Like, it was almost like that. Kimmy, you know I love you, girl. I was like, why? It's like, I get both sides. I really do get it, because like she said, in the past, it's never been like that. You ain't never lumped her in with everybody else. It's always been a quick phone call or something, be like, hey girl, you know, we doing this. It's that time of year again, or whatever the situation might be. And you go from there. But this time, that's not what happened. And so she was like, look, I'm just telling you, that ain't what I'm here for. I ain't here for it. I ain't like how it went down. And Melody is like, yeah, we thought that everything got resolved in Vegas, but apparently it didn't. And I think that's the episode, y'all. All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to my channel and thumbs up this video if you have not done so already. All right, y'all have a good one, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.